Happy Saturday evening, everybody. It's your man, it's your friend, Bobby Hesley, live in Rochester Hills, Michigan. One of the things I'm working on, guys, I'm trying to make my videos shorter. One of my biggest challenges is what not to say. A lot of people, they get nervous on camera, and they're kind of like nervous because they're afraid that they're not going to say enough. I'm actually in the other direction. It's not that I get nervous. I've been a public speaker going on 15, 16 years. My very first talk I ever gave was at a Catholic church in front of 1,300 people. It was a debate I had with a Protestant gentleman out in Troy at St. Anastasia Church. I'll never forget it. So I don't get nervous, but I guess I do. My biggest challenge is like what not to say, right? Not what to say. So the length of this video will equal the length of this cigar. So I will be with you guys. Hey, Celeste. So I will be with you guys until I smoke this, till it starts burning my fingers, okay? So however long that's going to be. So, nothing in particular. No real script I have. Just want to share a couple things off my mind. Number one. Wait, what are the 3 points I'm supposed to talk about? Oh, the alleged plot to kidnap Governor Whitmer. Now, as you all know, anybody who follows politics knows that there's this phenomenon in politics, and it's usually pulled by Democrats. It's called the October surprise, okay? Where every October and the weeks leading up to the election, okay, there's basically a big surprise that the Democrats pull out that's supposed to hurt the Republican candidate, whether it's an incumbent or a candidate, in the last few weeks in the hopes that leading up to the election that it will cost him the election, okay? So if you look back through history, there's all kinds of different October surprises, okay? So I'll go by the elections that I was able to participate in. My first election was in the year 2000. I was 19 years old. I was not yet 20 because my birthday's not till November 21st. So I was a few weeks away from having my 20th birthday. But I was 19 years old, the first election. That was the Bush-Gore election. Obviously, I voted for Bush. This whole black Republican thing, yeah, I'm wearing my MAGA hat. I'm wearing my Black Voices for Trump hat. But that's nothing new for me, guys. I've been a conservative my whole life because I'm a lover of Jesus and I'm a lover of babies. I'm a lover of freedom. I'm a lover of low taxes, entrepreneurship, strong military, strong families. There's no way I could vote Democrat having those values. The main reason I can't vote Democrat is because I'm not a victim. I would have to feel like I'm a victim that's owed things in order for me to vote Democrat. And I'm sorry, I'm not a victim. I'm a victor. So in the year 2000 elections, the October surprise then was Bush's alleged drunk driving record when he was younger. Why is it that they waited until October to pull that out, right? Fears that they hoped that it would hurt Bush. It didn't hurt him. Then you fast forward to 2004. He's the incumbent defending his White House against John Kerry. What was the 2004 October surprise? The supposed cache of weapons that were found over in Iraq. Do you guys remember that? All of a sudden, after all this time, a few weeks leading up to the election, we found this huge cache of weapons over in Iraq. And I don't believe that Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction, although it is possible that he could have snuck them out because he would not let the UN inspectors in for many years. So maybe he did have them and he snuck them out. But I do believe that Saddam had mass weapons of destruction, if that makes sense. Maybe not weapons of mass destruction. He may not have had nukes, but he had a lot of caches of weapons. He had mass weapons of destruction, if that makes sense. So that was the October surprise for 2004. I believe that the 2008 October surprise was the economic collapse. I truly do. Because it seems like the 3 weeks leading up to the election, the economy tanked after that, and it never came back pretty much until Trump got in office. If you guys go back, you remember President Bush gave a speech. Senator McCain suspended his campaign, which I thought was stupid. Obama didn't suspend his campaign, but all of a sudden, a few weeks before the election, we had this huge economic collapse that happened. That's when they passed TARP, right? The Something A Relief Program. You guys remember that? Taxpayer Assistance Relief Program, where we basically bailed out all these corporations. That was all leading up to the election. And everything seemed to go downhill and stay downhill ever since then, and it never came back. So that was the October surprise back in 2008, was the world, basically the world economy collapsing. They blew it up into something much worse than it was. The 2012 October surprise was all this stuff they tried to pull up on Mitt Romney. Some would say Hurricane Sandy hitting was an October surprise, although who could plan a hurricane? Then you had 2016. You had the grab them by the lady parts audio that was released. And I believe now, in 2020, some people are arguing that the coronavirus hitting President Trump is the October surprise of 2020. I think Gretchen Whitmer tried to pull her own little version of an October surprise with this whole kidnapping nonsense, because it was just uncovered that she was aware of this threat all the way back in June. I was still chilling in Thailand back then. All the way back in June, Gretchen Whitmer was aware of this supposed threat. And now all of a sudden, going into the second week of October, she's this damsel in distress that needs rescuing and protection from this group of people that were trying to kidnap and kill her, which, by the way, it really backfired on her, guys. I don't know if you've been watching that story, but it really backfired. And the reason why it backfired was because it turns out that these alleged people that the FBI rounded up were not conservatives. And get this, guys, they're not even Trump supporters. They're actually anti-Trump people. They're actually Antifa. They have Antifa anarchist leanings. If you go on the internet and you look up the ringleader of this alleged plot to kidnap and kill Governor Whitmer, he had a big A in the background, the big A for anarchy. And all the ringleaders that he ran with, they're all anarchists. They're the kind of people that like to invade black neighborhoods and burn them down to the ground when civilian cell phone footage is released of police brutality that only shows the civilian side but doesn't show the body cam version of it that the media sits on for 3 months and then releases after, like they did George Floyd. Those are the kind of people that allegedly were trying to kidnap Governor Whitmer. So that hugely backfired on her. She sat on it for 3 months, 4 months now actually, because we're in October. And then when they finally release it, when she finally released the stories in hopes that it would hurt Trump, it turns out that they're anarchists. They're anti-Trump anarchists. And they even had anti-Trump tirades on their social media pages. So sorry, Gretchen, it ain't us. Us conservatives, we don't act like you guys do when we don't get our way. When us Republicans don't get our way, when things don't go the way we want them to go, when we lose elections, when we lose presidencies, senators, governorships, congressional seats, we don't riot, we don't loot, we don't kill, we don't try to kidnap governors. You know what we do? We wait till the next election. That's what real Americans do. That's what mature Americans do. But people on your side, you and your constituents, that's what you guys do. You guys like to riot. You guys like to burn things down. You guys like to kidnap and cause violence. And a matter of fact, that leads me to my second point that I want to share. These alleged super spreader events that the media is going crazy about. We're about, I don't know, how far through this are we, guys? About quarter of the way through? It's getting smaller, guys. Our time together is getting shorter and shorter. The shorter and shorter my cigar gets, the shorter and shorter our time gets. You guys want to see me blow an O? It's kind of hard to do outside because it's windy. It's always best to poke these. It's better to get a poker. You don't want to cut them because every time you puff, get a little tobacco on your tongue, you gotta spit. But I didn't have a poker with me. Anyway, so these super spreader events that I'm seeing all over the media. I was getting my hair cut earlier, and of course they got CNN showing. And without any audio on, I could just see how people get brainwashed and programmed by this crap on the news. You know, there's a reason why they call it television programming, because it's designed to program your mind. It's propaganda, guys. Don't watch the news, man. Seriously, do not watch the news. Or if you're going to watch news, make sure you get it from reliable sources. Tune into my upcoming show, The Bobby Hesley Show. Let me be your news source for things political, cultural, religious, entrepreneurial, all these other areas in life that are important to you. Let your man Bobby Hesley be your news source. Let me go through all the crap of filtering out everything for you. Wow. I wish he would turn that off while I'm filming, but the world doesn't revolve around me, so I'm going to have to deal. So everybody's criticizing Donald Trump right now. Everybody's criticizing the White House right now. They even brought it up during the vice presidential debate about these supposed super spreader events. Okay? And they're criticizing the ceremony of Supreme Court Justice to be Amy Coney Barrett. And they're showing circles around everybody who's not wearing masks. By the way, one of the upsides to that event that I saw on CNN, they are calling for the resignation of Father John Jenkins, the president of Notre Dame. I really hope that happens. I really hope that he resigns. I hope they kick him out. Because he has brought that school, that college, down to the ground. Notre Dame means Our Lady. That guy's been a disgrace to the priesthood. So I hope he leaves. But anyway, why is it that they have a problem with people outside, mind you? They're outside. They're not indoors. Okay? And they're calling it a super spreader event. And yet there's been all these other super spreader events that have been happening throughout the country. And they actually encourage those. You guys want a quick list off the top of my head of all the super spreader events that have been going on throughout the country that the media has not only ignored, but have done the polar opposite. They have actually praised and encouraged people to attend. Super spreader event number 1. Non-stop riots in Minneapolis for about 6 weeks, where everybody's outside in close quarters. Everybody's marching, rallying, protesting, burning, looting, shooting, committing anarchy. Wasn't no social distancing there. Tens of thousands of people in those streets. Super spreader events in Atlanta of Black Lives Matter protests down in Atlanta. Every major city, Seattle, Portland, San Francisco, LA, New York, Kenosha, Wisconsin. They tried to pull that crap in Detroit until Police Chief Craig kicked him out and wasn't having it. So how come we don't hear anything about those super spreader events, huh? How come I can go online? How come you guys can go online right now if you wanted to and pull up a picture of our governor, Gretchen Whitmer, kneeling next to a bunch of Black Lives Matter people, and they weren't wearing masks? Wasn't that a super spreader event? So why is it not a super spreader event when everybody's outside gathering, rioting, looting, shooting, burning, and pillaging, but it's a super spreader event when we're trying to fill a vacant seat on the Supreme Court? Riddle me that. Point number 3, so I don't go too long here so I can get inside. The scar's getting lower, guys. The Dems are making a play already. We haven't even had the election yet, and they're already trying to lay the groundwork for a Kamala Harris administration. Guys, I predicted this months ago. Go back on my YouTube channel, where look up a video that says that Joe Biden is not running for president. I predicted almost 2 months ago that the only reason they picked Joe Biden is to make him a puppet Manchurian candidate. God bless you too, Bobby. I like that name, by the way. I'm biased. Anybody whose name is Bobby is cool in my book. I'm a junior. My legal name is Bobby, guys. My dad's legal name was Bobby. I'm not Robert. I'm not Bob. I'm Bobby. That's my legal name. So they're already trying to lay the groundwork for a Harris administration. Now, the most recent stunt in that regard is Nancy Pelosi trying to tweak and amend the 25th Amendment. Now, the 25th Amendment, Article 2, I believe it was drafted back in 1789. And the 25th Amendment provides for the ousting of a sitting president. In other words, it gives Congress the right and the power to oust a president if they can get a supermajority vote, which would be pretty impossible to do. But what I believe is happening, and Trump kind of hit on this, I don't believe it's aimed at Donald Trump, because there's no way they're going to remove him if he gets reelected. That's just not going to happen. But what I believe is going to happen is if, and it's a big fat It is a gigantic if, okay? I think it would be highly, highly unlikely. But if for some reason, somehow, some way, Joe Biden gets in there, he wins in, 25 days now? And the fraud prevails. Because if this election is not close, I believe Trump loses. The only way that Trump can win is to beat Biden handily in a landslide. We're talking Walter Mondale 1984 landslide proportions. Okay, that's the only way I think he can win. If it's close, they are going to challenge and recount and challenge and recount. You thought the year 2000 was bad with recounts and refusal to concede? Wait till you see 2020 if that happens. I think they'll try to drag it past his 4-year term in January 21st. That's what I think they'll try to do if it's close. But I believe that if Biden somehow gets in there, that Nancy Pelosi is trying to lay the groundwork to get Kamala Harris in there via the 25th Amendment to oust him, whether Joe Biden wants to or not. Even if Joe Biden gets in and realizes that he wants to be president, he gets a taste of that free world leader power, and he doesn't want to give it up, and he gets a taste of what he coveted for 8 years when he was Obama's little sidekick for 8 years. It's getting low, guys. I believe that Nancy Pelosi is making sure that they can get Joe Biden out of there, even if Joe Biden doesn't want to leave. They're going to force him out, in my opinion. At first, if you go back and watch my video, Joe Biden is not running for president. At first, I was theorizing and predicting that he was just going to hand it over to Kamala Harris. But now I think that they're afraid that he may not hand it over to her, so they're trying to create a backup plan. They're trying to put safety mechanisms in place that in case Grandpa Joe wants to stay president, that they're going to kick him out via the 25th Amendment. And I believe that they're going to use his frailty. They're going to use his senility. They are going to use his fetish for sniffing behind the ears of minors in front of their parents when the cameras are rolling because he's got no shame. They're going to use all that stuff against him, everything that we all love Joe for, his racism, his senility, all that stuff, and they're going to say that he's unfit for president. They're going to say that he's unfit to lead, and they're going to push him out. That's my theory. So, anyway, guys, nothing in particular I wanted to touch on. Those are just 3 things that kind of came to mind. Thought I would share with my fam here. I'm really looking forward to my show, guys. I'm really looking forward to connecting with you guys as my audience. I really am. We're going to have a blast together. And you know what, guys? We are on the same page, Nicole. Great minds think alike, right? I look forward to the fact that you guys are with me right in the beginning. You guys are with Bobby Hessley right at the beginning. Because when I launch my show in a few weeks, you're not going to see a fancy schmancy setup. I got a very simple setup. I'm waiting on a few pieces of studio equipment that are on back order. But the fact is, when I launch my show, you guys are going to be with me right at the beginning. You're going to see it grow. You're going to see it expand. You're going to see it blow up. And you're going to be there with me every step of the way. And I look forward to bringing you guys with me. And for those of you who are with me in the beginning, who are my early supporters, my early friends, followers, and fans, I'm not going to forget you guys. I'm taking you guys with me to the places I'm going. Wherever that leads, you guys are coming with me. So stay tuned. It's going to be launching in a few weeks. I wish I could have launched it much sooner with everything crazy going on in the country right now. But I do have 8 months of being overseas to catch up from. I've been catching up. I'm just about caught up. And so that has taken a lot of my time away from launching as soon as I thought. And I'm waiting for a few pieces of studio equipment to come that are on back order that should be here any week now. So, guys, that's about it. Hope you guys are having a good weekend. Guys, please stay away from the news. Stay away from the TV news. Seriously. Stay away from it. When I was sitting at the barbershop, they had CNN playing, the Communist News Network. It used to be called the Clinton News Network. Now I call it the Communist News Network because that's what it is. They didn't even have any sound on, guys. The show will be live on Facebook. Here's how it's going to work, Michael James. I have a software that's going to enable me to stream the show live across all my platforms simultaneously. It's going to stream it on YouTube. It's going to stream it on Facebook, Twitch. I might set up a Twitch account, but that's more for gamers. I'm not really much of a gamer, at least not anymore. I'm still a gamer, in a sense. I like to play chess, but I'm not a gamer anymore because I don't play. But yeah, it's going to be live across all social media. It's going to be on iTunes, Google Play, all the major, podcast networks. It's going to be everywhere, guys. And you guys will be able to say that you're with me in the beginning. So, have a good weekend, guys. Cigar's getting kind of low. It's going to start burning my fingers in about 12 more puffs. It will start burning my lips and fingers. So I better get going. So I love you guys. Have a great weekend. Stay off the news. Come to me for all your news. Stay tuned in, guys. All right, God bless. We'll see you soon.